Hello. Welcome to another episode about the Miraf SongBook program. Today, we will look at how to add a new song to the program, how to edit songs, and how to set up your themes. Let's get started. To insert a new song, we use this new song icon. A new window will appear, allowing us to set many different parameters. But first, we will only cover the basics. These fields, marked in red, are mandatory and must be filled in when creating a new song. So now, I'll enter the details. I'll input the title, the artist, and the list they will be in, so I'll select my songs, and click Save. The program has now automatically switched to the editing mode, and I can directly insert the song's lyrics. So, I'll copy the text from any document, website, or another database and paste it using a simple Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V. It's important to mention the format used in the Miraf SongBook program. In this editing mode, all chords must always be inserted directly into the text. Even if on some websites or in your songbooks the chords are above the text, the correct format is as you see here, with chords placed directly within the text, and each chord is marked with its own bracket. The advantage of this is that later in the program's settings, you can choose whether the chords appear above the text, in the text, and so on. But we'll get to that later. So now, I've inserted a basic song, and I just need to click this refresh icon or press the F12 key on the keyboard, and you'll see that the song has been inserted easily. Here, I'm prompted to save the database, as I've added a new song, so I need to save the database. In editing mode, there are, of course, a wide range of functions you can use. For example, I see here that the chords are highlighted, and the program automatically highlights chords and tags. I can turn this off using this button. If I don't like it, I can leave it black or keep it highlighted. At the bottom, there's a small search box where I can enter a word to search within the text. Additionally, I have these buttons here for step forward and step back, which I can use if I make changes in the program but want to undo or redo them. For example, if I accidentally delete these lines, I can click step back and the lines return. Next, we have buttons for copy to clipboard, paste from clipboard, and select all. You can use the standard Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V for copying and pasting. On the left side, we have some predefined tags you can use. In the first section, there are already chords detected by the program and added to the list. Then, we have some predefined labels that we can use. So, I can mark the beginning of a section and insert a label. This will mark it as verse 2, this will be verse 3, here I'll add the chorus, and lastly, verse 4. You'll see that tags were inserted, and when I refresh the song, you'll see the labels for the different sections. If I need to add a new chord to the text, let's say here at the end, I click on the spot, and I have two options. Either I write these square brackets with the chord manually, like this, and you see the chord is automatically marked. The second option is to use this icon to insert chords. I click it, and empty lines are inserted, where I just write the chord. The third option is pressing the F3 key, which also inserts chord markers, and I just write the chord inside. As I said, each chord has its own bracket, so if I want to insert more chords, I must ensure each one is within its own bracket. If I don't want to use the predefined labels, I can insert custom labels. For example, I'll delete this last one, click this N icon, and insert an empty label where I can write solo. And you'll see when I refresh the song, I now have a solo label. You can also use the F2 keyboard shortcut to insert it directly. The list of tags available in the program is described on our website. If you go to the Windows tab under Tutorials, at the end, there are text documents where all tags are described, including how they are written and how they can be used. There are simple tags, where the text is written like this, and paired tags, where the text is between the tags. Both variants, simple and paired, can be used. Another tag we have is for your notes. You can use Note 1 and Note 2, so I'll click somewhere in the text, insert a note, and write some text, like this, small pause. Then, I'll insert Note 2 and write big pause. I'll refresh the song, and you'll see one note here and another here. Each note has a different color and settings, which we'll cover shortly. This is how you can insert notes. Additionally, you can highlight text with color, so for example, I'll take this text and want to highlight it with a color. Here, I have the option to choose from 4 colors that I can predefine. We'll show how to set that up in the theme settings later. So I'll decide this will be confidential, color 1. This will be color 2. Here I'll use color 3, and the last one will be color 4. When I refresh the song, you'll see that the different parts are highlighted according to the colors I selected. You can also use uppercase and lowercase index. So, I'll select this text, choose to make this uppercase and this lowercase. When I refresh the song, you'll see it appears in small and large index, respectively. You can also insert lines into the program, so for example, I want a dividing line here. I use this insert line icon, set the number of characters, I'll leave it at 30, and click Insert. You'll see a dividing line is inserted and visible in the program. Apart from chords, you can also use tones in the program. So, I'll say I want to insert some tones here at the end. I use this tag to mark the tones and specify that they will be C, D, and E. This is useful if you want to write a simple melody without using sheet music and just want to write the individual tones. I'll refresh again, and you'll see the tones listed here. They have a different color than the chords, and you can adjust their size and other settings. For each color we inserted, such as color 1, 2, 3, and 4, you can also define what that color actually represents. I can also add this legend at the end here. I'll insert 4 lines, and as you can see, this tag, a special tag, was added. But when I refresh it, you can see that red stands for girls, yellow for boys, and blue, for example, is soul. So this is a legend, and you can define each color. Let me quickly show you this in the appearance settings. In the appearance settings, we have fonts and colors, and here we have text highlights 1, 2, 3, and 4, where we set what each color represents. For example, if I want to say that this part is also sung by the boys, I can select color 2 and choose a color like this. Then I click Save, and when the song is refreshed, you'll see that the color has changed and so has the legend at the bottom. Next, in Edit mode, we can set a permanent transposition for the song's default state. Right now, it's in a minor, but I can quickly transpose the song using these plus and minus buttons. Let's say I transpose it to E minor, and this will be a permanent transposition saved for this particular song. Unlike the temporary transposition we discussed in the previous episode, which only applies for the current session, this transposition is permanent. So now, if I refresh the song, it will appear in E minor. We can also add text that will be stored in the program but won't be visible when printing or viewing the song, like hidden notes. For instance, if I want to add a hidden note at the beginning, I click this icon to insert hidden text. And when I refresh the song, you'll see the hidden note isn't displayed in the text, but I can see it in practice mode. Additionally, we can insert images for each song. Let me clear this space to keep things organized, and I'll insert an image here by using this icon to add an image without the editing window. The program will ask where to get the image from, and I'll use one I've already added. As you can see, the image was inserted with the file name. If I refresh the song now, you'll see the image appears in the song. The second method is to insert images through the editing window. This icon opens a tool where I can load an image from a file. View it here, adjust its height and width, rotate it, crop it, or create a new one. Once the image is adjusted, I insert it into the program. The program will ask to save the image since it's new, so I give it a name, and the image is inserted where my cursor was. Now, if I refresh the song, you'll see the image I added. I can also delete the image by selecting it and clicking delete. Next, let's look at how to use repetitions. If I want this section of text to repeat, I select it, and the program marks it with these symbols. When I refresh the song, you'll see that the repetition is marked. We can further configure this as needed. Also, in the database, as we mentioned earlier, there are several columns with different information, such as the name of an audio file. In this case, example.miraf.mp3. Let's say I want to use this name directly in the text. I can mark a spot at the end and choose the option to insert data directly from the database. Here, I have the columns from the database, and I can select the one I want to insert. For instance, I'll choose the audio file column. It inserts this tag, and I can add another one, like today's date, or another tag that refers to the database. When I refresh the song, you'll see that the database tag and the date are inserted at the end. The audio file name isn't visible yet because no file is assigned to this song, but if I temporarily add a file and save the song, you'll see the audio file name is now visible. This way, I can insert specific data from the database into the song text. I can also work with variables, adding them to multiple songs. When I change a variable, it automatically updates across all songs. Let me show you. If I go to the appearance settings and open the variables section, I can fill in some variables. For example, I've added some effect settings from my pedal board. I saved the variable, and you can see that variable 1 through 15 are available, and I've used the first 3. The tag for the variable is shown here. I save this, and now, when I go back to the song and insert a variable at the beginning, I select the $sign and choose variable 1 through 15. For example, I choose var1. When I refresh the song, you'll see that the first effect appears at the beginning. If I add the same variable to other songs and save, the variable will show up in all of them. Now, if I edit the variable and change it from effect 1 to effect 10 and save, you'll see that the variable is automatically updated in all 3 songs. Variables are used to set something once and have it displayed in multiple places automatically. In edit mode, we can also delete chords. For instance, if I want to remove all the chords from this text, I click the scissors icon. The program will ask for confirmation, and when I click yes, all the chords are deleted from the text. I can also convert text to uppercase automatically. If I highlight this text and select the uppercase option, the entire section is converted to uppercase. Choosing the lowercase option converts it all to lowercase, and the final option capitalizes just the first letter of each sentence. Next, if you have extra spaces in the text, I'll show you an example. Let's say I copy this song with some unnecessary spaces. I can highlight the text, click the delete icon, and the program will ask if I want to remove the extra spaces. After confirming, you'll see that the extra spaces are removed automatically. We can also insert musical symbols into the text. For example, I'll clear this up a bit and insert a musical symbol at the end. I select these shortcuts and, for instance, choose legato. I click Insert, and now legato is added to the text. I can also indicate that this section should be played in mezzo forte, and you can see it appears as separate text. These are quick shortcuts for inserting symbols. A lot of musicians also work with tablature, so I can insert tablature in this way as well. I insert a tag labeled tab and add some tablature like this. You can see that when I refresh the song, the tablature appears, aligned perfectly compared to regular text. The letters and numbers are evenly spaced, so everything lines up neatly. You can even create custom tablatures by opening this tool, where you define the number of strings, how the strings are labeled, how many frets, how many lines, and so on. Once you've set it up the way you need, click Insert. You'll see a predefined tablature added, which you can manually fill in. When I refresh, you'll see the exact tablature I created. So you have 2 options. Either inserting through the tab or using a tool to click it in. In this editing mode, we also have the option to insert rhythms. This icon allows us to select the rhythm we want. For example, I choose a 4/4 time signature, maybe a samba rhythm, and mark it as Note 1. I press Enter, and it inserts the 4/4 samba rhythm. When I refresh, you'll see that the 4/4 samba rhythm has been added. We can also insert a tempo mark for the metronome. For example, I'll clear this up again to keep it organized and insert the metronome mark at the beginning. I select the metronome tag, and it gets added. When I refresh the song, I can see the current metronome setting for the piece. For example, a 4/4 time signature at 85 BPM. Later on, I'll show you how to adjust this further. We can also highlight text in a special way. For instance, I'll delete this and insert a phrase that I want to highlight. I select the Highlight option, and when I refresh, you can see the text is now colored. The program also works extensively with metronomes and capos, so for this song, I can set a capo on the 4th fret. In the editing mode, I'll insert a marker where I want to place the capo information. For example, I'll place it at the beginning, and it inserts capo. When I refresh the song, you can see it now shows the capo on the 4th fret. We can also insert various formatting tags. For instance, if I want to split the text at a certain point, I can insert a split tag in the editing mode. When I refresh and set the song to display in 2 columns, you'll see that the columns divide exactly where I placed the tag. If I move it, for example, to after the 2nd verse and refresh, you'll see the split happens after the 2nd verse. This allows you to control exactly where the columns divide. There's also a similar tag for a different purpose, the New Page tag, which specifies where a new page should start when printing. So you can differentiate between the training mode and the print mode, ensuring that the song will break at a specific part of the text when printed. Each song can also have an attached audio file, and you can set its key. If you want to display this key in the notes, there's an MP3 icon that shows the original key of the MP3. When I refresh, if there's no key set, nothing appears. But if I set the original key to, say, E major, it will display original E major. If I change the song's key, the text will automatically update. The program can also display chord diagrams. When I refresh the song and enable chord diagrams in the settings, the chords used in the song will be displayed. You can choose to place the chord diagrams at the end by using the Picture Chord tag. When I refresh, the chords will now appear where I inserted the tag. Additionally, you can use this for a single chord. For instance, if you know the entire song except for one chord, you can insert that single chord using the Picture Chord tag. When I refresh, you'll see that the single chord appears in the text. The program also supports multiple chord variations from the same root. For example, you might have several versions of C major, which can be differentiated using an index. To do this, use parentheses. You can specify that this is C1, which is played in the basic position, and perhaps another chord, which you want to play in a different position, can be labeled with a different index. You can then define these indexed chords in the chord database and use different labels for them. We'll explore this further in the next course. We can also predefine frequently used words so we don't have to type them out each time. There are 3 predefined words available. Right now, they're blank, but in the appearance settings, I can define these words. I've filled them in and saved the settings. Now, when I want to use these words in the text, I just insert them, and they appear automatically. For example, I'll insert ref here and bridge at the end. This allows for quick and easy word insertion. Instead of typing the song directly, as I've been doing at the start of this lesson, you can also open a text file and load the song from there. If I click Yes and choose a text document, the song will be loaded. Now I'll switch to another song and demonstrate additional features available in editing mode. For example, some songs may have chords in the first verse but not in the subsequent verses. The program can help partially resolve this by allowing you to highlight where the chords are. You click on this icon to load and memorize the chords, then you select a verse that should be the same length and have the same number of lines, and you insert the chords again. You can see that the program has transferred the exact same chords. Of course, there might be slight misalignments because the text may differ slightly, but in 90% of cases, it will transfer correctly. For example, If I want to transfer the chords to the last verse, I click to insert them, and you can see that when I refresh the song, the chords will appear in the first, third, and fifth verses. As you can see, you can quickly do this in a very simple way. Another thing that might happen is when you copy the text from an internet database, and the chords are positioned above the text. So, I'll show you this example. We'll create a verse like this, and I'll place the chords above the text. This setup, like this, is not suitable for the Miraf SongBook program, for example. And let's add a last line as well. So, you might have copied it into the program this way, and you don't want to manually input everything. You can simply select the text and click on this icon, which will adjust the chord symbols to be embedded within the text. As you can see, it highlights the chords. It's not 100% accurate because, for example, the letter A might be identified as the A chord, and so on, but as you can see, it works quite well overall. I'll select the text again and use this icon to place the chords into the text. The program will ask if you really want to proceed, and you can see that it has inserted them. So, with just a few clicks, you can convert the chords from the format above the text into the format within the text, as required by the Miraf SongBook program. Now, we've covered the entire editing mode, which has a wide range of features, and next, we'll look at how to make further use of these options. I'll go back to my song, which is now very colorful and has many tags, and we'll see how you can customize the appearance. You can see here that I have several predefined styles, but you can modify these styles, create new ones, or delete them. So now, I'll keep this style. I'll go to the Appearance tab, Appearance Settings, and here you can see all the options you can adjust in the program. Each setting applies to the specific style you are working with. For example, I'll say that for this style, I want to turn off the chords. So, I turn off the chords here. You'll notice that when the song refreshes, the chord symbols disappear. But if I switch to another style, the chord symbols are still present. You can see that in one style they're visible, and in another, they are not. When I switch back to my first style, the chords are gone again. You can adjust all these parameters. For instance, you can enable or disable chords. You can decide whether the chords appear in the text or above it. You can even place the chords as an index. For example, I can set the index to 200 and choose to display the chords in brackets. As you can see, the chords are now shown as an index and are enclosed in brackets. You can also specify whether you want the song title to be shown, whether the first letter of the song is highlighted in a different color, and whether the artist's name should be aligned to the right, left, or on the same line as the song title. For example, I'll choose to align it to the right and place it on the same line. I'll adjust the song to one column to make it clearer. You can see the song title here and the artist name over there. You can also choose whether you want to display Note 1 or Note 2, which we previously inserted into the text. I can toggle these on or off. I can also choose whether or not to show the label, so I can turn off the label here, and you can see the song appears without it. You can also toggle the selected or highlighted text on or off. Additionally, you can hide or display the images of the loose inserted chords. You can also enable or disable tablatures, as well as show or hide the capo positions where they are marked. Here, you can also define the exact text displayed for the capo tag. This tag with the $sign represents the capo's fret number, which is automatically displayed. Similarly, you can customize the original key of your music track, and you can decide where in the text the song's rating will appear. The rating can be placed above the text, below the text, or at the very end. You have several options for where to insert the song rating. For example, I'll set it to display at the top, assign a rating of 4, and you'll see the rating inserted at the beginning. As we discussed earlier, you can also predefine certain words. Then, you can toggle images on or off and decide if the images should scale to the width of the page, adjust to DPI, or remain unchanged. You can even specify a pixel-based resize to quickly adjust how the images are inserted. You can also choose the level of image compression. Less compression results in faster load times but lower image quality. You can also hide or show lines and tones, and even decide how they are indexed. You can set it so that the tones are automatically converted to lowercase letters. You can also choose to display chord images, deciding whether they appear at the beginning or end of the song, or place them at a specific spot using a custom tag, as we demonstrated earlier. Moreover, you can adjust the size of the chord images. Now, I'll set them to display at the beginning, and I'll shrink them slightly. You can see that the chord images are now smaller. If a chord image is black, it means the chord is in the chord database. If it's red, it means the chord has been inserted, but it's not yet in the database. We'll go into more detail on how to manage this later. You can also specify how many chords appear per line or how they are divided, so I'll set it to 3 chords per line, and you'll see the layout adjust accordingly. You can also sort the chords alphabetically, ABC, or musically. Additionally, you can adjust the background. For example, I'll set a black background and specify that the images should be light-colored, then I'll enable them. Now you can see the chord images are white. I'll revert to my original appearance and set the images back to black. You can also decide whether to highlight the color range from 1 to 4. If I turn this off, you can see the previously highlighted colors have disappeared, and the text is no longer colored. Alternatively, you can enable all 4 colors at once, and you can also decide whether or not to display the legend. As you can see, the colors have reappeared. Here, you can choose whether to color the repetition, use the capo that is fixed for the song, display the metronome info, and specify the symbol used for the cue mark. So, at this point, I'll turn on the label and set it to use a dash. When I save, you can see that a dash is used after the label. I'll change it back to a period, and you can see it has been restored. If I wanted to reset all these settings to their defaults, I can click this Original button, and everything will be returned to the original colors, sizes, and program settings. For example, like this. As I mentioned earlier, each look is automatically saved based on what's set here, and I can create a new look in this tab. So, I can name it something like, My Song, save the look, and now all these settings are saved under My Song. Besides the default empty look, I can also copy the current one, which is an option here. I can refresh the list of looks, and I can also delete some looks. So, for example, I can delete the one I just created because I no longer need it. However, I can't delete the currently active look, so I'll delete Look 6. It has been removed, and as you can see, it disappeared from the list. We have now gone through almost all the details of this Settings tab. You can adjust different sizes and colors for every part of the song. So, for instance, if I don't want the chords to be red, I can change the color to blue, save it, and you'll see that the chords are now blue. In the Fonts and Colors tab, you can customize the color and size for every part of the song. You can change the text color, chord color, song title color, and even the color of the first number next to the song title. For the artist, you can set the label's color and font, and as an example, I can make the label bold, red, and use a larger font, like this. Now you see that the label has significantly increased in size. You can also change the notes, select a color and font for tablature, highlighted text, and the 4 different colors, which we previously demonstrated, where you can even set the text shown in the legend. You can also choose the color and font for musical notes, the capo, and the original key. For example, you can select a background color, so I'll pick a light color. You can see that the background has been colored, and I can even choose a background color for the chords themselves. I'll select a style, choose the colors, and set the background color for the chords to something a bit darker. As you can see, the images and the chords have been colored accordingly. We can also adjust the size of empty spaces or index sizes, and we can change the size of all the chords at once, either increasing or decreasing them by 1 or 2 points. This allows us to quickly adjust the song's appearance without having to modify each element individually. For instance, I can change the text font here, and now you see the text is displayed with this font. We can also define variables, which we've discussed before, and adjust different alignments, such as left, right, or center for any of the tags. If we want to return to the default settings, we can select the button here, which will restore everything to the original values. Additionally, for specific looks, we can adjust the content, including how it will be displayed, the fonts for the content, but we'll cover that in another course. We can also configure the header and footer for bulk printing, and for printing, we can set various paper sizes, margins, and other related settings. There is also an option to customize the page layout, whether we want it in portrait or landscape orientation, but we've already discussed this in the basic course on zooming. I'll now switch to a different look that I've saved, and we'll demonstrate the process of creating a new song and the various editing options available in the program. So, for example, I now have this song. I'll click to edit it, and here I can set the parameters for the song. As I mentioned earlier, these basic fields are required, but we can also set additional ones. For example, we can define a notes column, which appears in the database here. You can also access the settings by pressing F4, where I can add the name of my band. Here, I can select the attached MP3 or any other audio file for the song. I can choose a specific file, and I can also check the option to remember this path for future selections. I can specify the original key of the recording, and I can attach an external file to the song, such as a PDF or any other document. Additionally, when opening the file, I can set some special parameters for how it should open. I can also configure the default automatic scroll speed and how far the scroll jumps in pixels. This is where I set the time for automatic scrolling. We discussed in the previous course how to adjust this. Here, I specify on which fret the capo is set for the song, and I can see the song's rating. In the database, there are also 3 extra columns where you can record your own information, such as a URL or a video link. So, I could enter the song's release year or the composer's name here. Additionally, I can set whether I want the song to display in 1 or 2 columns, or use the program's default option. For each song, you can specify whether it should be displayed on one page, in one column, or two columns. By default, this can be set here. You can also specify that a specific song uses a particular appearance. This allows you to switch between different appearances for different songs. For example, one song can have a red theme, and another can be blue, depending on the selected appearance. If nothing is specified for a song, it will use the default appearance, which is this one, but if you force a specific appearance, it will be applied to that particular song. You can also set a delayed start for automatic scrolling or adjust the transposition because you can set a custom transposition for each song. You can also choose which MIDI file is attached to a song and specify the tempo and settings for how the MIDI file will be used. This number here is a unique identifier for the specific song. Additionally, we have some automated tags, automated tasks, and other MIDI settings, but we'll cover those in a later course. You can mark the song as new, and you can also use various labels here. For example, I'll select this one, copy it with Ctrl+C, paste it with Ctrl+V, and when I save the song, you can see that it has been saved, and the image has been added here. The program only supports predefined images, which are listed here. So, we've gone through the settings for each song. Similarly, when you create a new song, you can fill in these details immediately, but as I mentioned earlier, only 3 fields are required. To wrap up this course, I'll show you how to import songs into the program in bulk. For instance, I have a file of songs saved in text format in a Word document. These songs can't be transposed or edited, they can only be rewritten. I'll demonstrate how to quickly and easily transfer them into the program. I'll highlight all the songs in the Word document and move them into the Miraf SongBook program. Click Ctrl+C. Here, I'll select the Batch Insert tab in Song tab, and this window will open. I'll paste all the songs here at once using Ctrl+V, transferring the entire Word document into this left section. Now, we'll use these buttons to show how quickly we can turn this text into songs. So, I'll highlight this, mark it as the song title, select the artist, click on the artist, and assign this to the first song, inserting it as text. At this point, I have several options for how to proceed. I can either directly insert the song using this button or make additional edits to the text. Since the text is well prepared, I could just click Insert Song, and the song will be added. However, if I'm importing it from an online database or a text document, I can also decide to enclose the chords in square brackets. I can choose to insert the chords directly into the text and replace some non-standard tags before adding the song. I can either go through these steps gradually for each section or perform them all at once by disabling the steps and simply inserting the song in one go. So, I'll click Insert Song, and as you can see, the song has been added. I'll move on to the next one. Highlight the text, set the song title and artist. Copy the desired text, and insert the song. You can see that the song has been inserted. I'll repeat the process with a third song. Highlight the artist and text, and insert the song into the database. As you can see, using this method, I can quickly import a large document, possibly containing hundreds of songs, into the program. The songs will appear in the database. As I mentioned earlier, these icons for inserting automatic brackets around chords, embedding chords into text, and replacing tags are the same features we've discussed here. This option marks chords with square brackets, and this one embeds chords directly into the text. So, with this bulk tool, you can quickly import songs into the program. If you don't need to make any adjustments in the import, you can disable these buttons and just leave Fix and Insert and everything will be done automatically. Finally, I'll show you how to import a song from a file. If you receive a song from another Miraf SongBook user, Miraf SongBook users can quickly exchange songs with each other. I'll demonstrate this by saving a song here. The song has been saved. If I delete the song from the database using the delete button, the song will be deleted. I'll save the database, then reload the song from the file. I'll open it, select the song, assign it a new ID, and you can see that the song has been successfully re-imported. Thank you for watching and goodbye.